This is Wild on 7th, your favorite Wild podcast.
Did you guys see this? This is unbelievable. What is that all about, Kinger?
Get in here for the real thing.
Like, let's get weird.
Maybe I blacked out trying to figure out what was going on.
Doubt, worry, fear, because that's what we're breaking the mold on here.
Welcome to Wild on 7th, presented by Pilot Games. We're here until it's here.
Welcome back to Wild on 7th, your favorite Wild podcast. As always, presented by Pilot Games. Make sure when you're out enjoying your libations, you use their products, because when you do, your community wins. Special guest here today. We're going to roll it back. Last year, we had one of our favorites join us for a popular segment early on in the season. It's Bold Predictions, and it wouldn't be bold if it wasn't without Radio Joe here. Sporting the 8th grade hairstyle still, a little spike in the front, hair gel head out the window, rolling it. We're hoping this headset doesn't depress that hair at all a little bit.
It will,
but,
yeah.
Our friend Al Stalak wanted me to throw that little jab at you early in the show here, but thanks for joining us today.
Always a pleasure. Karts, Kinger, thanks for having me. I got ready hanging upside down this morning, so
You get the hair wet, the hair.
The rooster. It's the rooster, baby. I love it. So does that mean you had that hair in 8th grade and he knows that and he's giving you shit? Or
I mean, it's been a long time without much of a change in style. So,
well, it looks good.
I'd probably say some point in college, and now I'm 44, so you do the math.
Well, this interview is presented by Duke Cannon,
Right.
So I think it's appropriate that we lead with hair, because if your hair's a weapon, or you wish it was, this would be like a Chinese star maybe, sharp in the middle, circle saw. Check out Duke Cannon, Minnesota company. They're awesome. Work harder, smell better. Can we talk bold for a minute?
Yeah, let's do it.
So everybody does predictions, and they all do the exact same thing. There's no accountability. There's no follow-through. I know we did circle back and count the points, but
You want some skin on that?
I think somebody owes me a steak dinner.
I know.
Who?
I know. Well, he won, I think, last year.
Probably not, but I'm going to say I did because you guys won't go back and watch the tape.
So
Watch the tape. I think I had a decent year.
You did not, actually. So I want to do this, okay? First thing we're going to do is we're going to hang these in the studio in plain sight of players. So all year, it'll be up on the wall. They won't be like, they're not going to be backlit. But if Zuki came in here and started rifling through the papers like he's wont to do, we're public. And then I want to propose that the winning person gets to go to Billy's Sushi on a weeknight, where hopefully Billy's there and we get Billied. We go to Alice in Wonderland with him, up the elevator, down the elevator. We don't know what happens. And the other two guys pay. You cool with that? So it's not going to be that much money. It might cost us each a couple $100 carts if we lose.
I kind of feel like
That wasn't a free ad either. We could go to another restaurant. We could go to Pezzo.
Well, hear me out here, because in order for these predictions to be bold, they somewhat have to be unattainable. So we don't want to incentivize somebody to have less bold predictions.
That's
Right.
correct.
Don't go all soft on the prediction, and then
So we can
try
veto.
to
There
get
has
some
to be
meal.
a veto
That's
power
true.
of a prediction,
That's true.
right?
But everyone hold hands. We're going to actually follow through and actually pay our debt.
I'm not reaching out until Karts reaches out. I'm just telling you right now.
You got the approval process.
This is weird. I don't want to touch your hand.
All right. He doesn't like hugging either.
Karts is all clammy.
Side hugs only for Karts.
For those
You
listening,
just touched
Karts
the
is
top of my
clammy.
hand. I can shake a hand, but I don't want to hold hands. That's like
Okay, so there's an approval process
Yeah.
on it. So each 5, right? Is that what we did? So you got 5 points, but they have to be agreed to by the other guys that they are in fact bold.
Right, and do they have to?
They have to have a measurable
Right, but
element.
do
to
they
them.
have to actually hit, or if they get close? Like if I say the Wild are going to have 52 wins this year, which I'm not saying, but if I did and they had 51, does that count as a point for me? Or
I think we should say no, because that's what happened last year. There was a lot of .25,
Yeah.
.75. Their face-off percentage was this, penalty minutes. I think it's just got to be a binary, yes or no.
I think this is how we settle this. Whoever's card is the best. I think that there probably won't be
Yeah, that's good.
a discrepancy. The three of us will review it, and we'll vote on who did the best. I think we'll be
Okay.
able to tell based on
I'm
that.
fine with that.
And producer Huss is the tiebreaker if
Yeah.
we need it. Okay, that was a really great start. I'm sure everybody's super excited about this episode. I think we start with Radio Joe,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
We're going predictions right off the hop.
No, we're going to start with
Going to
you.
ease into this thing?
Yeah, because I do think we have to talk about a couple of things before we get into the bold predictions, the big segment here. You said you're not predicting 52 wins. That's not your bold prediction. But where do you think this club is going to fall at the end of the year, Joel?
So last year I said wild card spot, and I thought they'd win a playoff round. Obviously, they missed by 11 points. But I have some recent NHL history, as recent as a year prior, for teams that missed the playoffs by 10 or more points getting back in the dance the next year. It doesn't happen a lot. But Vancouver and Washington both missed the playoffs by 10-plus points in the 22-23 season. They got back in last year. Washington, of course, was a surprise. Vancouver was a wagon. So there is precedent, recent, in the NHL for a team to miss by 10 or more and get back to the Stanley Cup playoffs. So I'm going to go back out and tell you again, the Wild get a wild card spot this year.
So do you think then that the Wild underachieved last year or that they'll have improved?
I just think that I'm less of a fan of like Winnipeg than maybe I was a year ago. Remember, I was kind of bullish on Nashville last year, and that proved to be somewhat accurate. Obviously, they had a great year. They've gotten better on paper. I don't think LA is as good as they were a year ago, especially with the injury to Drew Doughty to start the season. I'm thinking Winnipeg might take a step back. I don't know how to read the St. Louis Blues, if I'm being honest. I don't think Utah or Chicago or any of the teams that were way out of it a year ago are good enough to make a huge jump and get in. And actually, like, doing a little homework, listening to other podcasts recently on the Colorado Avalanche. Like, I know Landeskog might play at some point this season, but they have some question marks there that I don't think I really thought of on the surface. I'm just thinking Colorado absolutely is going to be a 100-point team, but maybe they're not as good as they were. Dallas, I think, is legitimate. They're going to have some young players step in their lineup. Who am I missing?
That's the
division?
amazing part about Dallas is they keep reloading with these young guys.
Yeah.
Like Wyatt Johnson.
They lost
Sullivan.
Tanev in the offseason, who they traded for. Pavelski retires. Like, they're going to have some new faces, but they didn't go out and sign anybody.
Oh, but I think they got better. I
They
think
signed Colin Blackwell.
Yeah.
And that was it. Like,
they need to sign people.
right.
Dude, Stankoven in the exhibition game here was unbelievable.
I know.
It's
I know.
good.
So they're gonna be kind of like in-house replacements, which, good for them. So
So what do you think?
I'm thinking, I guess, to say all that, like, I think the Wild,
You don't think that they could be top 3 in the Central?
I think that's hard. I think that's going to be really
Who
hard.
do you think the
for
top
them.
3 are?
I think it's going to
It's going to be Dallas.
It's going
Dallas
to be
is
Dallas.
the crown jewel.
It's going to be Nashville, and I
Nashville.
think Colorado's going to, their high-end players are too good not to earn a Central Division playoff spot, I think. I'd be shocked if they're a wild card team.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Minnesota, to answer your question, like last year, I don't think they underachieved necessarily. I think the injury bug crushed them. They got off to a slow start. They can't afford that this year.
Yeah.
I mean, how many, you've been around the game forever. Like, if you're not in a playoff spot at American Thanksgiving, as we say in hockey, because Canadians have their own holiday, like, you're normally not going to be in one in April. And I know that sounds crazy. It's 20 games in. But if you bury yourself in the first 20, it's really, really hard to get out of it. And last year, the Wild, unfortunately, buried themselves in the first 20.
Isn't it amazing? The season feels so long, but there's no time to make up lost ground
No.
either.
Because of 3-point games and everything else.
Yeah.
Like, and the parity.
Where do you think they fall at the end of the year, John?
well, I got a couple. I did play hockey last night, and I checked in with Rat. And Rat's in a bad place, boys. He said he just was looking at me. His eyes were kind of red. I don't know what was going on with him, but he just said they're not going to. He said what he originally told me was the Wild are going to finish last in the West. In the Central, he modified, and then he changed it to no, they'll finish ahead of Chicago, but they'll be struggling with Utah. I'm on the opposite side of that. The body language of this team in camp, part of it might be these Fanatics practice jerseys. They look like they're in the military. They got these tear-off nameplates for everyone. Even if you're Kirill Kaprizov, you can
Yeah, it's Velcroed
you
on.
can Velcro, like the idea of the Velcro nameplate. I told Karts this earlier because we talk about when they're smiling at practice. That's usually when they're winning. and they don't look miserable. They don't look like they're soldiers. I think having the long off season, I think the state of hockey is ready for hockey. Circle 10-10 on your calendar. I know this is going to come out a couple days after that, at least on TV. But I think we're going to have a really good year. I think we're going to be back in the playoffs, and I think we're going to win a round at least, which I'll get into in my bold predictions, because we're going to start bridging to the non-salary cap hell. We're going to cut that zip tie from behind our back and put both our hands right in front of our face. And I'm really excited. I think they're going to be good. I think they'll actually finish in the top 3 in the Central.
Can we get one of those Velcro nameplates
For us?
for you when you go out there next time you're dangling with the adult league?
Game-winning goal last night, 3-2.
No big deal.
We didn't even score 5. We never switched goalies. It's a dead puck era. A lot of struggling. There's not a lot of goal scoring right now. We think the goalies have gotten better.
Do you guys, you familiar with John Templeton? You follow finance at all?
Negative.
How the stock market is known to climb a wall of worry? You know where I'm going with this?
I like this. This is a good. I like metaphors.
Well, yeah. So this is where it's at. The Wild are good when Rat's nervous. When Rat's feeling good,
Rat's out, dude. Rat
out.
is,
and that's
Rat,
a good thing. Remember, when Rat's off the train, we got to bring him back on, and good things happen. If you're a diehard podcast fan, Rat is he's a big fan, but he's a nervous fan, and he's the kind of fan that this podcast was built to try to target. He's
We're here till it's here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's the poor me. But I think that Sir John Templeton's quote was, "Bull markets are born on pessimism, grow on skepticism, mature on optimism, and die on euphoria." I think that this club is kind of in that grow on skepticism phase right now. And Rat's feeling a little skeptical about the club, and rightfully so. And Joe, I think that you felt that you don't think the club underachieved last year. I do. I think they underachieved. I think it was a slow start. They got behind the 8 ball. Goaltenders weren't as good as they should have been. The injuries started to play a factor, and the Wild got behind some negative narratives, and they couldn't stop that snowball rolling down the hill, and eventually consumed them, and they hit the bottom. I think if they can stop that stuff this year, it's different. And I do think over the summer, July, the draft was exciting. July 1, you're like, they don't have much money. There's not much they could do. And they went out and signed Trennan, and you're like, it's a good player, but is it going to impact next year that much? And to be quite honest, I didn't feel as though it would. But one thing I discredited was John Hines and a chance at him having a full camp with a full roster. I didn't realize how much he kept holstered in terms of what he wanted, what he thought, what he would implement into this club, into the systems, a certain style of play last year. And you touched on it a little bit, John. Camp has been serious.
Yeah.
And the jerseys might look military-like, but I think the way that it's been run has somewhat been that way too. The guys have been tested, and I don't want to – the Navy SEALs are different, but I'm going to use this analogy a little bit because
you're off to a great
Hines has
start.
wanted to test these guys like they're SEALs. He wants them tired. He wants them thinking they have to quit. The drills that they've had, I watched a 2-on-1 back checker drill where he ran it for 10 minutes. That's about a 4-minute drill. You have each guy go through it twice. It gets you breathing hard. He ran it, and the guys were looking at him like, are we done? Are we done? Like they thought they should be done about halfway through one side of this drill. He blows the whistle. They think they're done. They're gassed. They're spent. Other side, boom, go. And he runs it 10 more minutes. Like they're checking their heart rate monitors. They think like this is unbelievable. We have to be done. We can't do
They're
this.
calling their agents.
Yeah, they're like this is terribly hard. So he's mentioned that he wants to test them. He wants them playing tired. He wants them pushing through fatigue to be mentally stronger. And then on top of it, he gets them tired now, and he's coaching more. So he's had the whistle out, and he has not handed that marker off on the board at all. Where sometimes you'll see assistant coaches go up there and draw something. No, not in this training camp. Hines has been at the board every single time. This is the way we're doing it. This is what I want. Let's go do it. And when it's not executed on the ice, the whistle's blown. And it's not pull somebody aside and talk to him, stop the whole group. This is what we want. If the puck is in this corner, in this situation right here, I want the short side wall shut off. It's not going up to the D. I want this guy here, there. and get into the weeds of it. But everybody knows where they need to be. And when they've had the big club on the ice in the exhibition games, it has been noticeable. They've put up 8 against Winnipeg, 7 against Chicago, and the other clubs haven't been able to figure out. Chicago's D in the game, the Chicago home game, final exhibition home game here, they didn't have an answer. The forecheck was unbelievable, and guys knew where they were. Plays were being made. So I think that you put those things together, the Wild actually, and this could be a bold prediction, it's not one of mine, I actually think they probably do finish higher than the Colorado.
Wow. All right. Well, so I got a lot to unpack there because I thought that was really good stuff. First, put on your helmet from your playing days. What's that like? Did you ever experience a camp like that when the coach is pushing you and you want to puke and he's pushing you, like kind of old school? What's that like?
Yeah, it stinks. You don't want it. But he does a good job of hiding it, too. I have to give him credit. He did a good job of hiding it. And we're not in that room, but apparently there's been some stern messages, too, to them.
Yeah.
And
well, I mean,
so he supported what he's doing on the ice, off the ice. So the guys they're ready. You know,
right. End of the season wasn't easy conversations, right? He told certain guys this wasn't good enough. They knew, right? Guys that had down years knew, but this is what we expect of you this summer. And then there were check-ins with the strength coach, with the off-season workout program, and then early in camp. I mean, I hate to use the term my sources, but I heard from somebody that very early on in camp, there were some veteran players that, very early on, that weren't living up to those first practices or first hour out there or whatever, and it was, hey, this ain't good enough. And then, we talk as a broadcast group with John Hines after the media availability, and just the other day, again, this is, preseason talk, but I thought he was great in, again, relaying that message. There's no days off in training camp. There's no wasted days in training camp. And if you're not up to the standard, essentially, like, you might not play.
Yeah.
Veteran guy or not. And again, so it's easy to say that. It's hard to do it. But if you do it and you hold the team accountable and there is a standard, if it's not met, you're not playing or you're not going to be in the lineup because you weren't good enough, like, that's how you squeeze more, right, out of a team that maybe couldn't do a lot in free agency.
The nameplate is Velcro.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't matter what the name is, it's still Velcro.
Yep.
Let's go.
Yep. So I think that they're going to be able to squeeze a lot of points out of different parts of the season.
Yeah.
The start, the goaltending, the penalty kill. I think it all gets better.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going to struggle. It doesn't look like the power play is going to come down from the great year it had last year. Like, it's humming at probably 60% in the preseason. That's where I think
it is risky, in my experience, just watching sports, when you're banking on guys that are getting older to bounce back, right? Like, that doesn't always work out. But what else could the Wild really do, given the contract situation? So you're banking on chips on the shoulders of certain players to drive them to have a good summer, to be more ready, to get back to their form. And if it pans out that way, if the guys that had down years last year respond and get back to their career median or have career years, like, this was a 100-point team back-to-back seasons until last year. So the locker room hasn't changed much. The proof is in the pudding. And I think Jared Spurgeon being back just makes if that guy plays 70-plus games this year, the Wild should have 10 more points in the standings because of it.
Yeah, and that's what I asked Bill Guerin what this team needs to, or what can't happen for them to have success. He said, well, they just need to have a good start. We cannot have a bad start again. They put so much emphasis on this start. I thought that they need to have their top 4D play an average of 72 to 75 games. You just can't have a stretch where you're missing those guys.
So I looked when the Wild were playing the Stars in the preseason. I looked, Dallas's top 6 scorers last year played 80 or 82 games.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
health matters.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Their top 6 scorers barely missed a game.
Yeah.
Right? And you look at the Wild, and Kaprizov played almost 80, but he was, he missed 7 games. Like, when you miss a guy like that for 7 games, that might be 5 losses.
Before we get to our bold predictions, this is good stuff. Kinger, it's been a hard camp for these players. If you had to maybe offer up some type of nutritional information or products for these guys to reload and get some energy, maybe even feel good about themselves having a nice, healthy snack, what would you get them?
So say like 97 was like fatigued.
Yes.
He kept hearing again.
Yeah.
again, like
There's
Miracle.
like a resurface out there, and he's got time for a quick little snack. Like
I'd be like, hey, Cappy, come over here and let's get Caramelicious.
Caramelicious.
What I would do is
Caramelicious
he
dab.
thinks I'm going for a water bottle. No, it's a little tub of Jimmy's caramel dip.
Yeah.
And he says, you have gluten-free pretzels? I can eat gluten. I go, just trust me. They're hard. They're crispy. You're going to like them. You're not going to notice. Don't worry about it. We open the lid. We start digging in together. He uses his fingers maybe sometimes.
No double dip, I hope, though.
No double dipping. Even on a pretzel rod, you got to just kind of single dip. It's that time of year. Caramel is coming. It's Friday Night Lights. It's fall. You're going to be raking your leaves. If you got young kids, they're going to be jumping into the pile. So go to your neighborhood Cub or grocery store and find yourself some Jimmy's caramel dip. It's right by the apples. Don't you be messing with my dressing. God, that felt so good.
It was good.
I'm going to finish
Creepy
top 3 in
breathing
the
at the
Central.
end.
I'm going to finish.
It's a good thing that the lights were on here, because had they been out, I would have been scared out of my mind.
Do you think
Joe's
that
a big fan of the caramel dip.
Dude, I love the caramel dip.
I can get? I know
I might
people.
like it more than my kids.
I'll get you like the little packs like for lunches.
All of the
or
above. I go with the big tub over there.
He knows where they
Go
are.
on the little. Why do you think I come in and do the podcast? So I can leave with a tub of dip.
Have you had? I think there's like a salted caramel one. Have you had that?
I
it's
have
got
not
a,
had
It's got
that.
a little bit of blue. I'll get that for you.
Yes, please.
That's right. You lick the upper lip after a workout and then have a little caramel sauce.
That's how he gets the hair to stick up. Hey, so if the Wild are building towards a more successful season, Carts? Who would they enlist to help them with that project?
I love it. I love it so good. You got a backdoor pass. and you wanted to
Transitions.
send it right back.
Tape
That's
to
so
tape.
good. Well, I tell you what, you want to be secure in your foundation, and part of your home's foundation is your roof. And winter is coming. Snow, unfortunately, will be flying soon. And you want to make sure that you've got everything insulated, buttoned up, and that your roof is in tip-top shape. There have been storms that have rolled through the metro area. And if you were in one of those areas, there is still time to check out Wild Construction. They have all the resources and tools on their website to see if you live within an area that had a storm, the date of the storm. You give them a call. They'll come out. They'll get on their roof. They'll make their assessments and give you all the information you need to potentially get that roof replaced and then feel confident and comfortable going into this winter season. So check them out, wildconstruction.com. They'll make it happen.
Great job.
You guys do such a good job with that like normally if you're listening to a podcast and you don't want to hear some of those promotions or ad reads, you can tell when they're coming and you can get out of the way. Here it was so flawless and seamless, like there's no way anybody just fast forwarded for 30 seconds.
That's the content.
People are going back 15 seconds right now to hear the end of that Wild Construction one.
Bold predictions, Radio Joe.
You got to start because you're so. I love how detailed you are. When did you finish these?
Last night before I was falling asleep, leaving the game, the preseason game the other night, I was like, you know what? That's number 5. I was working at intermission. Carts on TV. He's got to keep radio. I'm off for 18 minutes or whatever the intermission is, and I was starting to piece it together. I take this very seriously. As
I know you
guys
do.
know. And then number 5, I was toying with it. But before I went to bed last night, I'm like, don't forget number 5. Don't forget number 5. And now here I am. I'm ready.
All right, let her
Good
rip.
night's
You
sleep.
start.
I'm doing all 5?
No, you do one.
All right. Number 1, Kirill Kaprizov. Buries 50. First 50 goal scorer in Wild history. He's had 47. He's had 46. He's had 40. He gets 50 this year, which means he's got to stay healthy.
That was intense. You looked right into that camera, too. You pierced that thing. So 50 goals.
50 Genos, baby. Book it.
No qualifiers. He's getting
Nope.
50.
He will hit 50.
That's bold. That's a bold prediction.
How many points do you think he ends up with then?
Don't care.
50 goals. It's all about the goal score.
Do you have any Kaprizov?
No, but I did talk to him. And remember how I said he wanted to be called Caprice? He actually said Cappy is easier for the fans, so he just wants people to call him Cappy. So I'm going to start doing that.
Cappy.
So Cappy's going to score 50. You okay with that nickname? That's what he said.
I mean, if that's what he wants to be called,
We're going to have to get him on the podcast and have him
I
say
don't
that,
care
'cause
what
I
he
don't
wants to
trust
be
that he
called.
said
If he's
I wanted
scoring
to be called-
50 goals, he'll call him whatever the heck he wants.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's bold, though. I mean, I'm fine with that one as
50?
his first one. Yeah, I don't have a Kaprizov.
Yeah, I knew Karts is going
You
to give me
think
a little
that's
shade
too
on
low?
that.
Too low. He scored
can't get hurt,
47,
though.
48.
He played, what,
No.
78
I
games?
know.
What are the numbers?
He scored 47, 40, and 46 over the last 3 years.
Okay, so that's saying a guy is going to increase his production by what is that?
5%.
Yeah.
But he has to stay healthy the whole season to get 50. I factor
I
in
want my free meal.
I factor in the health, though. You know, I mean, he's got it. Should we make him? It's funny, though, if he has to go to like 51 to get it
And then he
through.
doesn't
And then
get
he's
it.
just sweating bullets at the end of the year.
50 is a big number.
It's never been done in franchise history. Just lobbing that out there.
We'll let you have it.
All right, so that's clear. That's clear. You want to go next, Carts,
Go
or me?
ahead.
We're alternating.
Go ahead. Actually, should I go? Because
you
I've
go.
got a Kirill one.
You go.
Mine's less focused on goals, but I think that he's going to be incredibly consistent. I think what I've seen so far through camp and then the couple exhibition games, it's going to be hard to keep this dude off the score sheet. So I'm going to say that he doesn't go 3 consecutive games this year without scoring a point.
I love that.
That is so
when you
specific.
go when you go look at the game's greatest and you look at a McKinnon McDavid, I know and you know when you're doing your prep for a broadcast, like, wow, he's gone back-to-back games to the point, and then I'll look, oh, he hasn't gone more than 3 all year or whatever it is. So, yeah, the elite players, they don't do that.
And the guys that score a lot, they know they can go a game without a point. Then 2's like they're not feeling good about it. 3, they're like, all right, that's enough. You know, I think he's got that. So he doesn't go 3 games without a point. Is
That's
that bold enough?
Yeah,
That's so hot.
I'll allow that.
You could be dead 2 weeks in. I love it. It's gutsy because you're like on the clock from the start.
Well, yeah, and he is typically started slow.
Well, not point production. We talked about this. He had
Right, assists he gets,
he had 25 points in 29 games. That's not a 100-point pace, and that's not slow. Like that would be all world for a guy like me. But yeah, so it's not terribly slow. But yes. All right, go ahead, Kinger.
So I branded all my picks so they're easier for the listeners to remember. This one's called Flood the Rink. So whenever a bartender comes over to you and asks if you guys want more drinks, a great thing to say is flood the rink. That means everyone wants a drink. It's a hockey way to, flood the rink. So I hope people pick up on that. But so when I say flood the rink, what that means is not only are we going to make the playoffs, but we're going to win a round. I mentioned this. I'm hesitating if I need to package top 3 in the Central into this because then I have like 3 hard markers to make it bold. Originally, I had wrote make playoffs and win a playoff round because if you think a rat, right, there's either people that are just out or there's people that are like, well, we'll sneak into the playoffs and lose in the first round. That's the Minnesota sports fan mentality. I think the tide starts to turn this year. And do I need to put top 3 in the Central in there for that to be bold, or is it just bold to make the playoffs and win a round?
I would say it's
At
bold
least a round.
regardless. If you package the 3 together,
What do we get?
I think you automatically win.
That point.
Whoa.
No, win the whole bold prediction thing. Like, I'm willing to buy this man a meal if they go top 3 in the Central, if they go and win a round in the playoffs.
Okay, so I'm basically trading.
I think you take the entire bold prediction segment if all 3 of those things happen. You cool with that?
No.
He's definitely not.
He doesn't like buying you anything.
No, it's just, that's just one prediction. You can't win it on one.
Okay, I'm going to stick.
like it. It's
I'm
bold.
sticking to my original.
If
They
it happens, I'll buy
make
him a dinner, but he doesn't win this contest.
Okay.
They make the playoffs, and I want you listeners at home, you absolutely miserable Minnesota sports fans that are just so negative and
Jaded.
worried. Listen
They're so
closely.
worried the Vikings are going to
I know.
lose their spirit. And
We're winning too fast, too soon. So listen, and they will win at least one round. I chose my words carefully. Not a round. They will win at least one playoff round. That's my pick. I'm taking the Central out of it.
Radio Joe.
Number 2 for me is the new guy, Yakov Trenyan, scores 20.
Is that how we say that, Trenyan?
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's
So he was always trending in the American League and throughout his time in the NHL, but if you listen to him talking into the microphone and doing his introduction, which Kevin Fallness does a great job getting everybody in training camp, I mean, I played it back 50 times.
Trenyan.
Trenyan. He says it quickly, so it's hard to hear, but I'm calling him Trenyan.
Dude, so the NHL.com has Kirill's too, and his is like Kirill Kaprizov.
That's how he says it.
Well,
Yeah.
I've been trying to tell everybody for years it's Kirill, but nobody wants to listen to me.
It's because you're on radio.
I'm totally distracted by the
So
pronunciation.
say it one more.
Anyway,
He gave a great bowl prediction, and I'm just lost.
Yakov Trenyan will score 20. His previous career high was 17 goals with John Hines as his head coach in Nashville in 21-22. So again, I'm just going 3 over his career year, but his career year compared to
year.
his other seasons was a career year. It's not like he scored 15, 15, 15, 17. Like I think last year, what did he have, 12 goals? So I'm banking on him to, under his coach that he has his best season with, he will score 20.
So you think this is like a Freddie Gaudreau Dean thing? Like he's got a whisperer.
That is a great analogy. I had not thought of it in that context, but yes.
He's got a Heinz whisperer.
I like that. I was going to look. The Wild had
qualifies.
9. Yeah, they had 9 double-digit scorers last year. I'm trying to pull it up right now. I think they had 320. So that would, that's fairly
2 years
bold.
ago, I think they might have had 6 20-goal scores.
Yeah, that's fairly bold. And the fact that they're going to have a guy that's likely not going to be a big power play producer getting 20, so that's 25 on 5 goals.
That's the depth scoring we missed last year.
Yeah, that's significant. So last year, let's see,
Hartman had 20.
they ended up having 5 20-goal scorers. So Rossi, Hartman,
Kirill.
Acker, Boldy, and Kaprizov.
What did Zuki get?
12.
I was going to say 12, yeah. But 51 apples.
Yeah. I'll go next, and mine are slightly out of order because I'm going to piggyback on this a little bit. Ryan Hartman back to 30. That's where I was going with this one. Now he's not on that top power play unit. He was during exhibition while Boldy was gone. The power play's been humming. So if nothing else, he's earned a look to be the one right-hand shot in the bumper spot on that power play. So if he can get some power play goals, that's kind of the one thing that he's never really had, are power play goals. But if he's playing with those guys, I think he looks serious. He looks ready to play to me. I'm going Ryan Hartman gets back to 30 goals.
When he had 34 a couple years ago, I think like 28 of them were even strength or something like that. So
I think it was more. I think maybe he had 1 or 2 power play goals. Yeah.
I have a couple related to yours. That's bold. I got Hartman 60 points. I hesitated to do career high, but that 1 year was so magical. I'm a little scared of it. It was such a bizarre season. But I think 60 is way different than he has been recently. I heard Guerin say he's down 15 pounds. As someone who enjoys fluctuations in weight myself, I support whatever's happening there. He's got a new baby. I think the dude's just dialed. We're fans of Hartsey on the pod, and he's a hockey player. He's a guy that doesn't disappear in the playoffs. He's a mean prick. I think he's going to have a great season. I think, as you said, Joe, it's hard to bet on older guys to bounce back, but everything I see from Mr. Hartman says that the pride of South Carolina is going to get it done this year with 60 points. I'm not specific about goals or assists. That's almost his career high. I think it was 64. But
So you got 60 points. I had 30 goals. So we're almost 30-30 for him. Do you guys have any Boldy predictions? Because this feels like a good time for me to throw in an outside source bold prediction that I want to talk about for a second.
Well, last year I said he was going to score 40, and I think I said that him and Kaprizov together were total 90. I think they finished about 75. Now Kaprizov's injury hampered that, and Boldy's slow start. Would he have 28 of his 29 when John Hines took over? So, but no, I don't specifically. Last year I went bold on Boldy, and I got nothing for you this year. I didn't want to go back down that river.
it's like fantasy
Fool
football.
me what?
If you
Fool me
draft a
once,
guy,
shame on me.
if you draft a guy,
I think he's going to have a great year, and I am basing this off of like one battle drill in training camp. I swear, I just watched him protect the puck, and it was like a man against boys, and I was like, dude, Matt Boldy looks. It was a 30-second drill sequence, and I was just like convinced. I'm like, that kid is going to be electric this year.
I like it. So you don't have any?
I got him in one of mine, but it's a little more. All of mine are a little artful. They're not. They're kind of like I really visualize this.
You can tag yours with what
I'll come after
bold
you.
prediction is. So and this is bold.
Well, I think you're already bold so far.
Well, but this isn't my prediction. But I think Bill Guerin was on the Spit and Chicklets podcast talking about Boldy, and Witt had asked him about it, and he said Boldy's a 50-50 guy, scoring 50 goals. So, I mean,
And 50 assists.
50.
Yeah.
He didn't say 50 or 50, which I think that
Right.
has some possibility. But that's
Like if he had 35 and 50, you could see that.
yes.
Yeah.
Or 50 and 35.
Right.
100 points is tough, especially if he's not playing on the same line as 97. You know, that'd be like Draisaitl not playing with McDavid all year long and boom, getting 100 and some points. You know,
How much of that is Boston bias? He's with Witt. Billy's got a little Boston. They're chumming the waters.
Well, that's
They're
it.
eating clam chowder.
that's kind of
know.
the
It
question. Do you think
seems-
it's possible? Like, that might be the boldest of the predictions that we have here is that Matt Boldy's a 50-50 guy. And
Yeah, that was very bold. That was like jarring bold when I heard it. I watched your little clip that you're referring to, but then I, in the context, it was sort of like Whitney being like, "Yeah, Matt Boldy, great player. I've heard a lot about him. Like, what do you see?" And he was like, "There's no reason this guy can't be a 50-50 guy." And I was like, "Whoa."
But full disclosure, he didn't say this upcoming season.
Right.
So
But he said, like,
he has
basically
the
the talent
potential
and the abilities there to be 50-50.
to be a 50-50 in the NHL.
And I don't care how you say that or phrase it or whatever, like what the context is. That's still, I mean, how many guys in the league do that?
Not many.
4?
Yeah.
I think just that baseball player on the Angels mostly.
Yeah.
That is
Dodgers.
Yeah, whatever. I'm not a big baseball guy, but I'm not going to root against him. I mean, I think anything's possible. I think when he signed his ticket, we all thought we were kind of he was being pretty strategic. So that must be what was in his head as he watches them develop.
Yeah, we talked to Billy about this on the broadcast, the Chicago game, and he said that these 8x8 deals that you're giving guys off entry level is you're not paying them for what they do today. You're paying them for what they're going to be able to do
Their ceiling.
4 or 5 years down the road.
You get out in front of it
Yeah.
because 5 years from now, you hope that's a steal.
Yeah, you overpay now to get great value late when he's producing big numbers.
When he's 45 and 45 or whatever the numbers are, goal and assist wise, and guys around the league are getting new deals for at 11 and 12 million for those types of numbers. Well, we got Matt Boldy at 8 or 7, and we got Faber at 8.5, and yeah, it again, risky way to do it. You hope they pan out, but if the top players are going to be making 12, 13, 14 million dollars 5 years from now, and you got 6 guys making way under that, like now you're winning, right?
Yeah. If Kirill gets 50 and Boldy gets anywhere near 50, there's no doubt this team finishes top 3 in the Central, and they have the inside track at a first-round playoff win.
But that was not your prediction. I like that we just have. I'm writing a footnote just because it's something we can regather on at the end of the year and be like, how did Boldy do on this? But are you up next on one?
I think you can tag your Boldy one with that.
So I do a lot of visualization because this whole podcast is about breaking the mold and being positive. So I really try to close my eyes and think about how do we get that? I want them to close a section of 7th Street and have that camera up here showing the fans outside reacting to goals. Like that's Jesus. We're the state of hockey. We haven't, and it's like we're
outside Excel right now. Look at the crowd going
I know.
bananas.
We're like a pimple that needs to pop. It's been so long. So as part of our successful season this year, the 4 Nations is going to be a huge deal. Okay. The U.S. is going to win. Matt Boldy and Brock Faber are going to be big pieces of them kicking the crap out of Canada, who's been scared to play us best on best for 15 years because the Kachuk brothers are going to kill people. Austin Matthews, it's going to be amazing. Boldy and Faber and Billy Guerin are going to get a lift from that. The Swedes are going to have a very successful tournament with Ek and Brodin. 97's going to be in Mexico with Zuki and paddleboarding. He's going to get a little rest on his way to the season you believe he's going to. This is going to be not an all-star break, not a BS all-star break where Kirill's wrist is sore and he doesn't want to take part in X competition. It's going to be the Olympics in the middle of an NHL season, and we are going to ride that damn wave right through the dog days of the season. And Boldy, Faber, Billy, Ecker, Brodin, they're all going to get something out
John
of
Heinze.
Yes, they're all going to feel that body language shift to winning and believing it's possible, and do not sleep on the Four Nations in Boston and Montreal this year. So that's where Matt Boldy and
So that's like the bump. They get the
Yep.
Four Nations bump.
the Four Nations bump.
And the
Look at
Wild go
that.
on the national radar.
That's right. This is where people are like, yeah, that Boldy's no joke. Brock Faber, he's a better McAvoy. Like, this is going to be real. That's the shift. It's a big deal. It's not a
I
break.
like that.
It's not a break. It's a build. I'm dialed in on that, man. I'm ready.
And you had bump written down.
I did. I branded them all. I was like, I laid in my bed like you, dark. I took too many Zins after hockey. I had like 2 hours where I couldn't sleep.
Well, yeah, that game-winning goal to
GWG, it's true, 3-2.
tough to sleep after that
Yeah.
euphoria.
That's right. Yeah, so I had Boldy and Faber and the Star Spangled. It's happening.
I like it.
Is that bold enough? I mean, U.S. winning alone is like,
I like that.
suck it, Canada. All right, good.
Blame Canada.
Blame Canada.
My third one is the Wild's power play and penalty kill both finished in the top 10 across the NHL rankings. Last year they were 10th in power play, 30th in PK.
Not bold enough. Not bold enough at all. I don't think.
That's pretty bold.
Top 10?
Again, if you finish, we could cross-reference with the clubs that have top 10. So you'd put that'd put your overall percentage at 80, top power play 25, at like 105 to 107 combined. So sometimes that's the way you look at that.
I don't even know what that number is.
So you have a
Like the
25%
special teams
you have a
index.
Yeah, you have a 25%
Yeah.
power play and you have an 84% penalty kill.
Okay, got it.
You're like 109. 109 is
Elite.
all world. That's getting you into the playoffs, no question about it. That's Dallas a couple of years ago where they had an unbelievable PK, great power play, and they were a wagon in the playoffs against us. If you remember.
Oh, you're doing
All of our
you're
predictions
doing both. I'm sorry. I don't know if the listeners power play and
penalty kill.
Okay,
Both
yeah,
top
yeah.
10.
So you're betting on maybe Boldy's on the PK, Trennion, and then the power play keeps. Okay, I like that. We're gonna be special at special teams.
And honestly, like if all these, as with most of our predictions, come to fruition, like you said, like this is absolutely a playoff team. There's not even a doubt about it, right? If you got guys scoring 100 points and having career years and 50 goals and great special teams and good goaltending, like what
I had a similar one, and I'll back off it because I have a couple in the holster, I think. But mine was that the Wild PK finally takes a step and it becomes a top 10 penalty kill. So calling the Wild power play a top 10 power play really isn't that bold. They were last year. They're going to be good this year.
They've actually set the franchise record each of the last 2 regular seasons as far as single season power play.
But you parlayed it. It, so there's a little boost there. That makes it a little bit more challenging.
Why do you think the PK will be improved?
So I had it that they'll be over 80%. And a lot of it's predicated on health. And this team, there's a lot of buzz on 97. And he brought the focus of this franchise from the back end, from Jared Spurgeon and Jonas Brodin and Ryan Suter and these guys, to the front half of the ice, which it hasn't been. But I still think you look at the foundation of the club, it is solid on the back end, and it might be the best part of this team. So you get a healthy Jared Spurgeon, you have an experienced Brock Faber, now you return Middleton on a comfortable deal, and you have guys that all of a sudden can kill a penalty as a decor. You get Huznadinov, who's speedy up front, who seems to take pride in killing penalties, and I think the one wild card, the X factor, will be the goaltending. They struggled. They were bottom third of the league in PK save percentage. So that's kind of where this prediction becomes bold, is that the goaltenders are going to figure this out, and I think the decor helps them a little bit. But I've got them a top 10 penalty kill. They take the step. Finally, they were 74% last year. That had them at number 30 in the NHL. So if they can climb 20 spots against the competition, I feel like I have to make the case for that being a bold prediction, but I think that's bold when you're leapfrogging 20 teams in the NHL to be better. And Jack Capuano, he's an experienced coach. He's another guy with presence, and I think that he's going to be detail-oriented. His presence will be felt, and that group will just play better overall.
Can we spend 1 minute off the bold predictions for a second? I want your take on Chisholm and Bogosian as the 5-6 potentially. Obviously, you have Johnny Merrill in there. Damon Hunt's had a great camp and preseason. What do you make of Chisholm and Bogosian full seasons with the Wild and what that pairing might look like, Carts?
Yeah, I think you like Bogosian for what he is, number 6. He can make plays. I think he also knows what needs to be done at what moment. And what I see from him is if the game calls for a physical play to change the tone, he's the guy that does that. And that's his role as 5'6". If it calls for being smart and making plays and outlet passes, he can do that too. So I like that. But you know what you're going to get with Bogosian. I think there's some excitement around Chisholm. I really do. And he might be, I've heard somebody else say this too, the silver lining of last year's poor start. The way, and we've talked about it before, but just to refresh how the Wild ended up with Declan Chisholm is the Wild struggled. Spurgeon was hurt. They were lower in the waiver priority list than they probably wanted to be, and Chisholm was on the shelf in Winnipeg. Winnipeg had the opposite that the Wild had in terms of health on their blue line. Nobody was hurt. They had everybody play every game, and Winnipeg couldn't put him down to the minors because they felt somebody would claim him, and they thought, well, we're going to need depth. We're going to need depth. Well, they didn't. And then finally around the time that he was put on waivers, I think management there said, we're doing the kid a disservice. He needs to play. If he's an NHL player, we've got to let him play. They put him on waivers. The Wild put a claim in. They're low enough in that priority list that they get him. I think there was 8 claims on Declan Chisholm, so he would have gone to a number of teams. Like, you never hear of somebody having 8 claims on him right there. So he's an NHL D-man. Now all of a sudden he looks to be playing with a little more confidence, with a little swagger. He's got a one-way deal. He's lugging the mail. He looks good in the offensive zone with the puck. His puck skills are impressive. I had somebody call me today and say, hey, I just watched the game the other night, and that Chisholm is good with the puck. Like, his feet are fancy. His hands are good.
His
Got
skating.
vision.
So Minnesotans love a good skater. If you watch a game, more than once you will think it's 97. The way he moves on the ice and opening up the hips, he is a hell of a skater. And if you can do that, man, you can do a lot of things. Faber's the same way, right? Great skaters. And I think he's a steal. I mean, the fact that he was like rocking the press box in Winnipeg, scrapbooking the season, and
They wanted him to play. They just couldn't get
they
him
had
in.
no spots for him.
So 2 things. Now the Jets are really banged up on the back end. Logan Stanley's hurt. The big tree they got back there at 6 foot, whatever the heck.
Yeah, the
it
hammy
is.
cruncher.
And that Ville Heinola has an infection in his surgically repaired ankle, and he needs another procedure. So, like, they are now, and they let Nate Schmidt, they bought him out last summer or at some point in the offseason. So it's like they'd be dying for Declan Chisholm right now. So it's crazy how that works. And then I've said this a couple of times. I don't know who the heck's listening, and I'm not trying to compare the
Everybody
two players.
listens to this.
But Gustav Forsling at one point was on waivers. He bounced around a little bit in his career. He started with the Blackhawks, actually. I used to watch him play in Rockford in the
So
minors.
this is where you're going. You're setting this up. This is it.
So I'm just saying, like, I said it initially when they claimed him, and I saw him play a couple games. I'm like, man, this kid can play a little bit. It's like, dude, sometimes you find a diamond in the rough. Now, Forsling did bounce around, but he was a waiver claim. And now again, I'm not saying Chisholm will be as good as Gustav Forsling. I'm not saying that, that he's going to have a better career. But Gustav Forsling is one heck of an NHL defenseman that every team in this league would take right now and probably place into their top 4. Maybe that's a bit of an overstatement, but I don't think it is by that much. And so if the Wild do, like you said, get a steal in Chisholm, could really, really help a franchise that maybe didn't hit on a draft pick or 2 or didn't have the money to sign somebody to a big ticket.
Carts, do you notice when Radio Joe he's trying to pronounce difficult names every time he talks? Like, even like it's like Gustav Forsling, or like he is, if he can find a reference where he gets to, like, it's like Barcelona. Like, he is trying to find little turns of phrase.
You're not going to like this, Kinger, but I asked him. It's Jakub Lauko.
Oh, no.
Jakub.
We call them grapes. That's what I'm hearing. There's something
He's been
going on.
another nice find. I know it's the preseason, or was when.
This goes
Dude
into
had 2 goals last year. He's got, 4 in 3 preseason games?
3.
This leads into
4
mine.
goals. Oh, 3. Yeah, he didn't get the one. And, yeah.
So this is a fun one to track. So I call this the Brothers of Bad. Okay. Trennan and Lauko are going to become folk heroes on this team. They're going to be beloved by the fan base. And
Like a do or Duhame, but bigger?
I mean jerseys with their names on it. Okay. So for me to win this is 7th Street Savages. Even Billy in the press box, so great. Lauco keeps scoring goals, and he's like, let's just simmer
Marco
down.
Rossi led the NHL in preseason scoring 2 years ago, and then he got sent to the
Crusher
minors.
turned into a rusher who turned into an usher.
But it was even that's amazing. The Crusher turned into but that literally it wasn't even about preseason not being a big deal.
Yeah.
It was like, just to be clear, Lauco, you're here to make life miserable for people.
Yeah.
And that has very little to do with scoring goals.
I think he understands that. I interviewed him the other night after the preseason game against Chicago on the radio, and he said, like, he knows that he's supposed to play in the other team's face and be a pain in the you-know-what and skate. He's like, scoring goals is kind of nice, like everybody likes doing that, but like he understands that he wasn't brought here to score 20, but damn if he's not going to try.
I watched him at the end of that Dallas game preseason. I think we lost 4-1. They cut to the bench in the third. He was just giving it to the Stars.
I love that.
I mean, it was like they did an in-between periods interview with him. His word count was Shakespearean. I mean, that dude is wired. And the reason they're going to become folk heroes is they're going to be just pricks. Trenyon is going to be scary and mean. And if we got a rivalry series where we've got back-to-backs against Winnipeg or, Stanley's trying to sit on someone, these are going to be the guys back to the Willie Mitchell days in Vancouver with the plastic cage where you're just out of your chair going, yeah. I mean, they're going to be 7th Street Savages, the Brothers of Bad. I will take pictures of at least 20 jerseys with these guys' names on it by the end of the year. An unlikely choice on a jersey, by the way. They're going to just become popular and loved.
He's going to come at you for that statement.
Who?
Lauco. Unlikely jersey names. Like, people aren't going to buy their jersey. He's not going to be happy to hear that.
Well, there's a lot of other choices.
There's good ones.
Kirill.
Hartman.
Like
what
Midzi.
do you think? Like, he's going to be
Foligno?
like the fourth highest selling jersey, third?
I think he's just saying, like, you're going to walk around the crowd and you're going to go, I can't believe I just saw that many Lauco and Trenyon jerseys.
So he's going to be the next Clutterbuck.
Yes, that's a good reference. We're going to have that kind of energy around these guys. I think Middleton has some of that energy in a different way where he's a good player, but he's also sort of like people just like Jake because he's likable as hell.
Is a Husnadinov jersey more expensive because of the number of letters? 'Cause that might hurt his case.
You just wanted to pronounce it. That's what it comes down to. But yeah, the Brothers are bad. They're going to Minnesota's going to like them some Trenyon and Lauco this season.
So
is that bold? You okay with that?
I like that.
I'll track it at games. I'll keep track.
yeah, no, that is bold. You know what else is bold, Kinger?
Oh, I like it.
Yeah, it's bold.
Sensing something here.
This is a tough transition from where you're starting.
Yeah.
I know what you're trying to do, and I don't know how to get back to it.
It's bold to grocery shop anywhere but Cub because they have the best produce in town. Would you agree?
I would, and actually you did a really nice job there. I thought you were going to maybe toe pick. Yeah, we're fans of Cub. I'm going to talk specifically, and a lot of people know you can buy your alcohol at Cub. A lot of their grocery stores, they got the beer, wine, and spirits, and I think it's kind of classy to grocery shop and then pick up the booze, so you don't have like the weird trip to MGM with the the little kitty on the golden kitty on the cash register. Like, it's nice to just be like upscale, white collar. I just picked up some charcuterie. Oh, what's that? Bottle of Crown. Oh, what's that? 12-pack of ranch water. So don't sleep on Cub. They'll deliver it for you if you want. They're local. They're lovely. Cub.
You know what else is nice about that? You can put the bottles between like the loaves of bread, so it's not like clank, 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 clank as you go out the parking lot.
Keep it classy.
Spacers.
Yeah,
Spacers.
Yeah.
Now,
but the one thing,
you're going to transition yourself.
You pass this bad boy.
So, the thing I wouldn't, if I were at Cub and they were like, hey, I want to sell you like a home system, I would be like, hey guys, like, I love you. Like, you do a lot of good things.
Thanks, but no thanks.
I like your milk and all that stuff, but like, let's leave that to the experts who earn the right to be recommended.
Yeah, like Cub Foods has a good refrigeration center and system, right?
That's
And
right.
It's cool in there, but cool is in the air now, and the last thing you need is to be cool. In fact, it's the opposite. Old Man Winter's right around the corner, so it now is the time to check on the heating system, the furnace, and with Aquarius Home Services, you can call them out, and they've got a deal, $29. They'll come out, evaluate your system, and with their furnace peak performance check, they'll make sure that it's running in tip-top shape. You don't want your furnace going. You don't want to go into winter with your furnace on anything but full health. So, Aquarius Home Services. Give them a look, give them a holler. $29. You can't beat that deal to get your furnace in a spot where you know it's going to be humming come the winter or snow flying.
That's the Marc-Andre Fleury deal, number 29.
Number $29.
I love that we've given like Corilla Jimmy sponsorship and flowers. Like we're definitely blurring the line somewhere there.
Yeah.
Not officially involved with either brand.
Yep. AquariusHomeservices.com, and they're earning the right to be recommended. They really are, guys. So, yep.
Can I get a read at some point? I kind of feel like monkey in the middle here. You know, like
Yeah.
Carts tosses one to Kinger. Kinger slides it back over here. Like,
You ever play hot box? You got to get to one of these bases. You don't know hot box?
is that run the bases?
Pickle in the middle for some people.
Are you into dainty bites? I'm not into dainty bites either, especially when it comes to my treats. I like big treats, like T-Rex cookie treats, 7-inch monsters. T-Rex cookies, it's not just like eating a treat. It's an experience. And you can find this experience at every Wild home game. And if you can't make it to the game, well, then you can go to Cub Foods and find one of their freezer packs. Or you can go down to their store location in Eagan and get yourself, well, some cookies to bring home and bake or some ready-made for you. 7-inch monsters. Like I said, it's an experience. T-Rex cookie, no dainty bites.
I feel like we're behind on yours. How many do you have left?
This is number 4.
Okay. Yeah, we are. You got to get
The
one.
Minnesota Wild win 30 games on home ice.
How many they play 41 on home ice?
Now, for context, it's only happened 3 times in the NHL the last 2 years. Colorado and the Rangers did it last season, and that Wagon Bruins team did it in 22-23.
So why is that?
Confirmed bold.
Why is that? Because you think there's something in the water. The fans are going to love them. We're going to
I
be
just
loud.
think this is going to be a team that's a pain in the ass to play against. I think they're going to have an identity, and I think at home that is going to be at the forefront. Teams come into XL Energy Center hating their lives from morning skate on. That's the type of mentality you want to have. That's how you're going to get into the playoffs, I believe, with the rosters it's currently constructed. Like, they want to be bigger, they want to be tougher, they want to be hard to play against, they want to skate. At home, you do those things, you're going to be, the team nobody wants on their schedule on a road trip, and the Wild win 30 games at home.
Bold.
That's bold. Are we rubes? I mean, we're like really positive. Are we rubes? Are people listening, like pulling over their car?
I don't think it's cool to make a bold prediction to say the Wild are going to be like in the cellar. Like that. That's not fun.
I know, but
It has
like,
to
are
be-
we too
it has to be-
optimistic?
It has to be unattainable.
Like Rat's like, I mean, he is.
He's not going to want to listen to this podcast.
He is struggling.
He might need to. It might be therapy for him.
He's going to be shocked. Okay, that's bold. You're on the board with bold. Did you miss one? Because you can't do the penalty kill as a subset of another bold. So you got to take one out of your holster.
Wallstead ends the season with the highest save percentage of the 3 goaltenders.
Oh,
I considered this last night. I did consider this. So I will check off the bold thing. That's bold, and I like it.
so he's our playoff game 1 starter?
I don't know that that's it. It's more just that he ends the season with the highest save percentage.
With enough games where it's relevant.
yeah.
It's not like he played 8 games and the other 2 played 40-some, 30-some. And
Right.
I like that because it's just exotic. That's an exotic one.
when your experience in the game carts, do you remember a team carrying 3 goalies for an extended time?
No.
That's a question for the group. Are we going to, how long, are we going to have 3 goalies or is one of them going to be gone?
Well, Wallstead doesn't require waivers, so he will be gone from time to time.
Yeah, he's got to play games.
And yeah, he's in a Declan Chisholm type of situation where they don't want him sitting on the shelf for too long. It does a disservice to the player. They want him to get games. They want him to see flour, to be around it, to be an NHL guy. He has the mentality of an NHL goaltender. He's done well in the American League. I think he plays games down there, but he'll be the guy that moves in and out.
Right.
Do you think we finish the season with 3 goalies? I mean, that's not specific on
Yeah.
who would move. I'm
If
just curious.
if the Minnesota Wild are a playoff team, Wallstead will be here.
I say this.
Other
like,
two guys will be.
If you look at
Yeah,
the schedule
okay.
and you see
But
the Wild,
because one of my other bold predictions was there might be a trade at some point before Thanksgiving.
if you see the Wild play on a Saturday and don't play again until Thursday, I know it doesn't happen a ton in the NHL, but like you better believe that Volstead will be going to Iowa to get a Wednesday game in Grand Rapids or whatever it is.
Yeah,
Like,
or I also see it being like this, where the Wild have 2 games back-to-back Friday, Saturday, and Volstead will just go play the 2 games on the weekend in Iowa.
Yep.
You know, like give us.
That's a good. I like that one. These have just been.
There
this
are
is-
teams that will need a goaltender at some point.
Yeah.
You know, based on injury or play or Boston Bruins situation where Swayman might be dealt, maybe not getting signed. Like, you know,
I hear what you're saying.
But that doesn't mean I don't think that Gus is getting shopped. I don't think that they're looking for
I
a
don't
way
think
to
so
unload that contract.
they need him to bounce back.
Yeah,
I
they
don't
want-
think that
they
you
want-
go into the year with Fleury and Volstead thinking this is the ticket to a playoff spot.
Right.
Like, you're hoping that Gustafsson rebounds and has a better year, and Volstead's almost like a, I don't know, not an insurance policy, but just like sort of this little nugget out there that's like, whoa,
yeah.
you know, if he plays 10 games and wins 7 of them, like, great.
Yeah.
Youthful energy too.
I think you look at it this way: the net is Gus's. He's your number one. He's going to get the lion's share. Volstead is critically important to the future of this franchise, and they want him around, and his development is important. And then you have Flower, who requires respect and other things as well. So he's gonna get games. He's gonna get what he wants. But
He's earned it.
yeah. But I think that Gus is the guy. But at the end of the day, Volstead ends the season with the highest save.
So you two would start Philip Gustafsson opening night. I know this will air afterwards, but like, and then what would your timeshare be, Kinger, if you were in charge of the goaltending and everybody's healthy and playing well?
50% Gus, 25 Flower, 25 of Volstead.
Yeah, so that's 40.
2020.
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
And if it doesn't work, then Billy's not shy to. He's a wheeler dealer. He likes a smoke-filled room, so things could change. But I do hear what you're saying, which we should talk about. Flowers ice skating with the rink crew.
Unbelievable.
I mean, this Andy Kaufman, it's not even a prank, right? It's just weird.
Just him being him.
So he gets dressed up in an old North Star hat at a preseason game. He has a wig on, long hair maybe,
Yeah.
and he's just shoveling in front of the Wild
And
bench
glasses, too, I think.
and trying to get him going, and then until the guys recognize him. The only way it would have been better is if he never said anything, and he just did it the whole game, had some interactions with guys, and then the video came out the next day. That's true Andy Kaufman. But were you confused by it? What did you think? You were doing the game. Like, what did you think? Both of you were.
When I got wind of it, so he joined Tom Reed the second intermission that night on the radio broadcast from downstairs. And we got wind of it just beforehand that, you know, the Bally's had the footage and there was Flower out there at the ice crew at one of the timeouts. And I couldn't do anything but laugh. Like, it's just unbelievable. I don't know if he thought of it. I'm assuming he's like, let me go do this. Like, it just seems like him to a T. He's just a funny,
He's Charlie Chaplin.
carefree dude when he's, you know, not between the pipes, it seems like. It's just...
And between the pipes.
It just adds another layer.
I was caught entirely off guard.
You were confused. You don't understand. It wasn't a prank.
You don't know why he did
Like, what is he doing?
Want to do it or like what?
I thought maybe it was even a previous game. I thought we were just throwing to it. I didn't know what was going on.
They start rolling the footage,
and then,
you're just
and then
like,
when I looked at it, I got stuck on his face and his hair and those glasses, and I was like, "Where is the nose and the mustache?" Because you know what I'm talking about.
yeah, the Groucho Marx.
Yes, I was like, "Where's the rest of it?" and then by the time I got myself settled, it was over. I was like, I don't even know what I just saw.
He's getting into like, I think you should leave levels of comedy. Like he's like an absurdist comedian now. Like it's not even a prank.
No.
It's just nonsense.
Just having fun.
Nonsense and joy. Well, any young hockey players out there, you can learn a lot from Fleury in terms of enjoying the game and having fun. Even, I mean, he's been grinding for decades.
Amen to that.
Let's just talk about one thing about that first, though. You also have to be real good to pull that stuff off.
Yeah.
Not everybody has the ability
The cachet.
to just
Yeah.
do that. Like, you have to have a couple of cups and be all world and be Sidney Crosby's best buddy.
Like
and-
Ben Jones was out of the lineup that night. Ben Jones wasn't going out there in the ice crew.
Right.
No, you got to have
No
a
offense, Jonesy.
You got to have a cup if you're going to have a twinkle in your eye. I think I agree with that.
All right, let's get this final one in.
All right, who's starting?
Okay, you got to tell me if this may be a salary cap thing. I have another one to replace it. So when I close my eyes with the nicotine simmer, and I was picturing it, I'm calling this the Booyum Bounce. Okay, the young Z, the king of charisma. Denver gets knocked out of the playoffs probably by the Gophers early, and he joins the team for the playoff push and goes on a little bit of a Drew Doughty, Brock Faber, immediate impact, Band-Aids us to the end of the year into the playoffs, and is a contributor right away. Spittin' Chicklets is talking about him nationally. Little Z, the Booyum Bounce. But I don't know if that works with our cap and money.
Absolutely.
It
Why
does?
not? Yeah.
Okay. So I got that as my fifth. The Booyum Bounce.
I mean, Faber did it 2 years ago. Teams do it. Guys come up, they turn pro, they make their debut, and if they're good enough, they play in the playoffs.
You burn it right away.
Cale Makar.
Yeah, I got the Booyum Bounce
Cale
this
Makar
season.
that year signed out of, what was it, UMass?
UMass,
where he
yeah.
played?
Yeah.
And then it was right into the NHL running the power play for the Avalanche. It was amazing.
It's going to happen.
I love
Booyum.
that.
Booyum Bounce.
Kind of, when they drafted him, when they talked about him going back to Denver, that had crossed my mind, like, oh, we'll see him at the end of the year, and then I kind of forgot about it now, and here we are at the season. So, love it.
When we sat with him, so we interviewed him with another player, and didn't you feel it? This kid, like, it was like he wanted to get out of his body and like be himself even more, but he was kind of in this weird position where you had two prospects together. I'm telling you, there's something special about this kid. Got a lot of charisma, and I think he will affect the 24-25 season for your Minnesota Wild.
That's bold. I think that's bold.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I like it, actually.
How do you pronounce his name? Zeev?
Booyum?
Zeev Booyum?
Yeah, I believe so. That's what Matt Sells told me,
I got it.
the front office.
I got that one correct.
I got the Wild going 6-3-1 in their first 10 games and 14 wins by Thanksgiving, somewhere around 14-6-2. So in their first 10, they'll have points in 7, and in their first 22, they'll have points in 16, which would put you in a playoff spot by Thanksgiving.
They said
Boom.
there'd be no math. He
you
always
very
does
much.
one that's like heavy math. I don't know if that's bold or not. You're an analyst.
A mic
Carter.
drop.
He flipped it over for a reason. Flip that back over. Is that bold enough? Where would that put us in the standings, Carts? Do you know?
I don't know. I mean, it depends on everybody else, but 6-3-1 is not bold. It's good. It's not bold.
14 wins by Thanksgiving?
I don't know how many games they'd have.
22 games, 14-6-2.
That's bold.
That's points
Okay.
in 16 to 22.
That's bold.
And you're in a playoff spot. If you're 8 games over 500 Thanksgiving, you're in a playoff spot.
That's bold in and of itself, and then you factor in that it seems like the Wild are a traveling circus the first 2 months of the season. Yeah, that's bold.
I like that. And you know what? You're going right at our biggest weakness, the cold start. You're saying, I'm going to take the soft underbelly, and just like Hartsey and Hines, I'm going to make it firm and strong.
Yeah, I think the message was sent. It's unacceptable to start slow. And I think that message was received. We'll see.
That's bold. You're in for 5. I'm in for 5. You got 1 left? Are we keeping track? You got them?
Well, since we're on Thanksgiving, yeah. The Wild are 21st in scoring by defense last year, 161 points.
21st. Our D-men scoring?
Yeah, 21st in scoring by defense.
Very low.
So I think this year the D are going to be more involved, and they're going to be offensively much better. Now, I looked at last year to cross-reference this on teams that were high in scoring by defense. Colorado led the league with 241. Makes sense. You have Cale Makar, who gets 90
100.
points. Yeah, right? So and that was the common denominator to a lot of these teams. So Colorado, New York was second. Edmonton was third. Then you have like a Vancouver,
Yeah.
and then Nashville-ish. So you have these teams, you go down. Yeah, it's Makar, it's Adam Fox, it's
Yossi.
Yossi, Hughes.
Bouchard, Yossi, Hughes. Wild
But
don't
each of those teams has an 80-point D, though.
right. Wild don't have that guy, but I think they have by committee that guy this year.
Faber, Spurge,
Chisholm.
Chisholm.
So
Mizzy.
they all of a sudden have guys that can raise the
Brodeen.
floor a little bit offensively. They don't have anybody that's going to tear the roof off the joint, Zeev might be that guy in the future, but not right now. But they climb into somewhere around the top 8, I think, in points, would have 190 points by their D.
I like saying top 8 instead of top 10 too. Yeah. Let's get bold.
190 points.
Jeez.
So we could say that too. That's the
And what were they,
number.
121, you said?
They were last year. They were 21st with 161.
So another 30 points from defense?
Yeah.
I love it.
So 30 more points. They get 190.
Let's go to 200 points.
No.
Wow.
This
With
isn't a negotiation.
Spurgeon
I
back
didn't
in
say- I
alone,
didn't
he'll
say
add
you gotta
30
go
points if he's
15-5 and 2.
14, 6, and 2.
I didn't say you have to go 15-5 and 2.
Split the difference, 195.
That's a lot. 190
All right,
points by your
oh,
D.
Fine. It's a little soft, but hey.
Do we have some tacks, Huss, to hang these behind us? We're going to hang them up high. So that we don't-
No. Let's not hang them.
We're hanging them. Hey, I don't care that you guys are on TV and the radio. If somebody comes in here, some Canadian guy, and he says, USA is going to win 4 nations, really? No, I think we got to live with it.
He takes it to their dressing room.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. No, I love doing this with you, man. You take it serious, and these are all bold. I hope we're not rubes, we're pretty positive, but it does feel different. There's been a lot of preseasons together, and we walk by that practice rink every single day we come in here, and you can feel different things at different points in the season. And this feels like a group that is focused and raring to start.
As Karch can attest to, you get on the airplane with the team after a tough loss and a 3-game losing streak, and you can feel it. So
Yep. You say no to the cookie. You discipline yourself too.
it's I mean, yes, we were positive in our bold predictions, but I think otherwise we were somewhat objective over the team, what needs to happen, why they weren't good enough last year, and I feel good about where we're at.
Yeah. Bold predictions need to be positive. It'd be awful if they were negative.
Yeah. Like, imagine if last year, Dean Evison won't make it up till Thanksgiving. We'd be looking around
And
like,
you were
what's
right.
wrong with you?
Yeah.
I'm gonna send
You're not
I'm gonna send the Outlook invite for the dinner, so it's on our calendars.
Okay.
I'm gonna send that out. I'll pick a time that would be into the second round of the playoffs because some of the predictions include that.
Okay.
I'm
So
gonna
an
look at-
early May.
That's
dinner?
right. Yeah. Would Cinco de Mayo be past?
That'd be conference finals, I think.
Okay, we're gonna do Cinco de Mayo.
No. That's second round.
Yeah. I'm gonna be targeting Cinco de Mayo ish. It seems like Japanese food on Cinco de Mayo is perfect. And so I'm going to send that invite so we're held accountable. I am going to hang mine here. I don't care who sees it. I did have a random story. I don't know. You might cut this, but it was great.
I also have a sidebar on playing hockey.
Sidebar it
in
up.
May, but
So I heard Karts, when you interview people and you try to get some dirt on them or you get like an interesting entree, what's the fish hook? I just heard this last night at hockey where I think it's so funny
You
that
don't know the fish hook?
I just can't even believe that somebody did this to you. And then take our listeners through what happened with the fish hook
Yeah, this
at a
can't get
bar
cut.
at some point.
This was at a house actually. But you don't know what the fish hook is?
I did not until last night, but it's a great thing. I'm not going to try it ever.
Really?
It seems like a high risk move.
Yeah.
Don't do it
It's like
to
a
'em.
wrestling move. Like you put your finger inside the corner of somebody's mouth and like a fish hook, and you pull them.
Are you behind them when you do it, or it doesn't matter?
I don't know. I suppose as long as you get that hook in there, you set it.
So this move starts with putting your finger in another man's mouth
Yes.
that isn't expecting it.
Yes.
Okay, just to set expectations.
is this a
And-
fighting technique or just a random
Sounds like it happens at house parties.
going up and hitting somebody on the backside of their knee or something? So
When does this happen? Somebody decides to do this to Ryan Carter,
Yeah.
like a guy that's been in a few tilts himself. What are you at a?
No.
Are you at a barbecue?
This is-
or
Oh,
This
it's at
did
a
not
friend's
end well.
gathering.
friends gathering?
Yeah. And then I got fish hooked, and I kind of threw a fit because I was like, that's gross. Who puts what grown man puts his finger in another grown man's mouth? That's disgusting.
Yeah, what if you had chomped down just
love
out of reaction?
So that's kind of what I said.
How did you respond?
I was upset, and then I said, okay, just first one's free. And then he did it again.
Don't ever
And did you smoke?
He
really.
got punched in the face.
Oh, that's
So it's like you sitting next to me, fish hooked me once. Shame on me.
Yeah.
first one's
Fish hooked me
free.
twice. Shame on you. We got
And-
it.
So
But
this guy's got to
Gator,
have
it
some
is
guts
important
too.
to know We can get away with one, it sounds like.
Yeah, now the problem with saying that on the podcast is anybody that sees you at Herbie's is going to put their finger in your mouth. The first one is not free. Let's just say with this guy, because they had a previous
Cut
history,
the other
it was.
part.
It's
Start
not
over.
free. The first one's not free. I'm glad I asked. I can't believe someone would do that.
And the
that's
second
not
time
a
is so
good-
ballsy.
Yeah.
Is this guy tough too?
First one's free, second one costs.
He must be pretty tough if he went back at
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
I hope you enjoyed that segue. What's your random one?
It's not even relevant anymore. The Iowa Wild played into the second round of the playoffs. The one year made the second round of the playoffs, and I remember Tim Army just loved the fact that the team was playing on Cinco de Mayo, as he called it.
Well, we'll be at Billy Sushi on Cinco de Mayo, paying our debts. This is a treat, man. I always love.
I hope we're playing hockey into May, to be honest.
We're ready.
Let's have a packed house. You said XL, the fans outside. They're showing the live shot. People are wearing shorts coming to the rink.
Yeah, no, we need.
I'm ready for that, dude.
We've had some time away. It's time to get back into it.
We're here.
Till it's here.